Thanks for joining us on another edition of National Focus. I'm Jarna Hector. Coming up, the OECS Director-General wants member states to adopt the primary exit assessment. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit talks education in Penville. Details of our headline stories and more after this.
If you can believe this, why can't you believe this?
Uncle tried to make me have sex.
Some mothers don't believe their own children when they say they've been sexually abused, and they don't report it. Remember, if anyone asks to see or touch their private parts, touches them inappropriately, shows them or forces them to touch one's private parts, has sex with them, shows them pornographic material, or deliberately lets them hear or see the act of sex, then it is sexual abuse. Believe your child and report the sexual abuse. For more information about child abuse, contact these agencies. This message brought to you by UNICEF and this station.
Thanks for staying with us. Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit has called on families and communities alike to foster a deeper appreciation for the education of the nation's children. Addressing the 15th inaugural meeting of the Penville Village Council earlier this month, Honorable Skerrit acknowledged that it is of paramount importance that youth take advantage of the opportunities in education.
We must not take for granted the opportunities. Because if we wind back our memories 15 years ago, 10 years ago, a handful of us would have access to secondary school. And even fewer of us would have access to college and university. Today, Penville can boast that we are blazing the trail in respect to taking advantage of the opportunities both at the state college level and university level.
Honorable Skerrit added that significant attention must be placed on primary and secondary level education. He says the role of government does not substitute for the role of parents in the lives of their children.
My responsibility as the Member of Parliament and the Prime Minister of this country is to ensure that your children have schools to attend. That when they go to schools, they are teachers. And when they go to school, they are teachers who have the resources to teach you. I cannot be held responsible if your child do not study. I should not be held responsible if your child should be home and your child is on the streets at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. That is your responsibility.
The Honorable Prime Minister also had this advice for the children of Penville.
You have to study your books. Yes, you have to watch television. Yes, you must have a cell phone. Yes, you can have a computer. Nothing wrong with those things. Anybody who tells you shouldn't have one now is not serious. But you must make use of it in a right manner. I find these days too many of us spend too much of our time in our phones and on the television, sometimes watching the wrong programs. My challenge to us here is to take advantage of the opportunities that we have. The better we do at school, it is better for us as individuals and better for our community and for our country. So I want us to place that at the center of what we do in respect to our programming.
At that same meeting, the nation's leader also encouraged nationals to exercise greater consideration for the elderly and less fortunate of this country. The Honorable Prime Minister noted the diligence and ethics of the elders of this country.
I recall going down in the valley of magnitude for some dashing plants and bringing a bag of dashing plants on my head, and when I got to the top, I was so tired I had to lie down flat on my stomach, And I'm saying, these are dashing plants. What if they were actual dashing and so on? So I remember how difficult it is for all of these senior people who work so hard in this community.
According to the Honorable Prime Minister, nationals should strive to be a more caring society.
We have to ensure that we continue to remain a very caring society. We have to look out for the less fortunate, the senior citizens in our country and our community. Because what we are building on, what we are enjoying today, is because of the foundation that those persons laid for us. Just imagine when they had to walk to the heights of Margaret Tooth and all these places with no roads, in tracks, walking miles to those farms, to those gardens, and bringing back a huge bag of dashing on the head. Now we have better infrastructure, and we have to ensure that we show gratitude to the senior citizens.
In other news, the Director-General of the OECS, Dr. Didicus Jules, is calling on all member states to adopt the Caribbean Primary Exit Assessment, or CPA. The assessment will allow students entering secondary school to move from one member state to the other with ease.
Let us say you have a child of common entrance age, and they would have sat common entrance in Dominica, and then you relocate to Antigua or to St. Lucia. What happens to that child in terms of access to secondary school? Now, over the period, many of the OECS states, or most of them, have moved to universal secondary education. Now, one of the things we had done at CXC was to set up something called the Caribbean Primary Exit Assessment, which replaces the common entrance and which is now like a Caribbean-wide, which should have been a Caribbean-wide common entrance exam.
The Director-General, who is also a past CXC registrar, says the exam does not place as much pressure on the students as the common entrance exams did. He says the exam is one that will allow real integration of OECS member states.
There's much better performance because prior to, it's not a one-shot exam. The students develop a portfolio the year preceding the exam. There's a lot of practice and so on. So what they present in the exam is not just the performance in the exam itself, but their performance in class in the year preceding the exam. You relocate with your child, if he has sat the CPA, they don't have to give him another exam to determine what is his level of competence and how he compares with other children in Dominica or in St. Vincent or in Antigua. The exam is comparable across the region.
You're watching National Focus. Still to come, pipe-borne water comes to Union Estate Point Michelle, and the Social Services Minister says her government is committed to supporting persons with disabilities.
Did you know the Caribbean Court of Justice is two courts in one? The CCJ has two functions: an original jurisdiction, which deals with your right to move between CARICOM countries freely and your right to move your money and your business. This is the basis of the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, CSME, and the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, and an appellate jurisdiction to hear appeals from courts of those countries which decide to use it as their final court of appeal and no longer go to the Privy Council. All CARICOM member states who have signed the agreement establishing the CCJ are members of the CCJ.
Welcome back. Very soon, 4 water tanks in the Soufriere constituency will be commissioned. Village expansion in Point Michelle has given rise to the need to improve the existing water supply. Therefore, government is spending $748,000 to have an additional 30,000-gallon tank set up in the heights of Union Estate. Parliamentary representative for the Soufriere constituency, Ian Pinard, says this will be enough to sustain the growing community.
This tank will be mainly used for the Union Estate area, which is a real big development. We have close to 300 lots now being sold to persons. Another 28 will be sold later this year, in the next few weeks. In fact, we'll have another 28 lots being sold to residents of Point Michelle. So the community is expanding rapidly. And with that rapid development, you need a bigger supply of water. And that's why today you can see the project now is complete. It is a 3 or 4 months project, and it's complete. Will be commissioned very soon, and we're expecting the communities of Union Estate to be receiving water from that tank very soon, in the next few weeks.
Okay. The water intake for this tank is located in Lubier. Honorable Pinard explained that water will flow from there into the community. Government is also meeting the needs of the people in the community of Scott's Head as it relates to water. 2 tanks have just been completed for that community. These tanks were built as part of Phase 2 of the Savannah Water Project. 1 tank is located in the heights of Scott's Head near Segment 1 of the Waitukubuli National Trail and the other near the Scott's Head Primary School.
And we recognize we had a serious problem with that. And the government addressed the situation by having a second phase of this Savannah water supply. The first phase had already been complete, running the pipes. The second phase now is the construction of the tank, which we visited high up, and this also tank. And this tank, this project is costing over $1 million. This pump will now pump the water to the bigger tank, and then from that we'll have gravity flow of the bigger tank going to the community in Scott's Head. So we'll have no more problem in this community in terms of water. So we're very happy with that project, and we think it's one of the big projects that we're doing now in Scott's Head.
Honorable Pinard can safely say that after these tanks are commissioned, there will no longer be a water problem in his part of the island. The Honorable Minister for Social Services, Community Development and Gender Affairs, Catherine Daniels, says the Dominica Labour Party administration will continue to cater to the needs of persons with disabilities and the less fortunate of Dominica. Addressing the 31st Annual General Meeting of the Dominica Association of Persons with Disabilities earlier this month, Honorable Daniel noted that it is organizations such as the DAPD which encourage government to do more.
Your annual narrative report gives a clear indication of the scope and diversity of the work which you have accomplished in 2014 and serves as encouragement and impetus to government to work with you to further optimize your potentials, to redress the social disadvantages which you have faced in the past, and to promote your participation in the development of this country. Because while some of us are busy predicting the future, there you are as DAPD creating the future.
The Social Services Minister reiterated government's commitment to supporting the efforts of the DAPD, especially as it relates to housing for persons with disabilities.
Government has committed to play its role in creating opportunities for the full and equal enjoyment of all human rights and freedoms by all persons with disabilities in Dominica. This is the right and responsibility of every government. Let me assure you that the Dominica Labour Party government will continue to assist you in whatever way possible. The government's housing program is premised on the fact that shelter is a basic human need. It's not something you want, it's a basic human need. And as such, we'll continue to provide assistance in this area. The government has a structured program. The program has been structured now, committed to ensuring that help is given where help is needed. And this being an area of need for your organization, rest assured that your need will be addressed.
And the Honorable Member of Parliament for the Cottage Constituency, Reginald Austrie, says the Dominica Labour Party government's National Employment Program is bearing fruit in his constituency. Honorable Austrie was accompanied by GIS News on a constituency tour last week when he highlighted some of the strides made by the NEP. According to the Honorable Minister, one of the major projects ongoing in his constituency is an environment and beautification program.
We have 2 groups on beautification and cleanup, and we have a group in Capuchin, and they are working right now, and we have a led by Marshall Andre. He's the leader of that group. And in Tatan, we have a group doing the Tatan Savanpa area headed by Josephine Duvernay. And these people have been employed full-time. They employ about six or seven people under the leadership. And if you notice, the roads are very, very clean. And because there's a constant program to keep cleaning up the place, beautifying and enhancing the environment.
He added that the NEP is also teaching trades, including construction. Additionally, over 25 constituents recently graduated from a hospitality training module of the NEP. He says because of programs like these, numerous constituents are now gainfully employed. To date, the National Employment Program employs over 1,400 people. And that's the English news. McPherson St. Luce is next with the Creole highlights.
Alors tout le monde, bienvenue à cette nouvelle en créole. Moi, c'est McPherson St. Luce. Premièrement, ministre de l'Agriculture recevait plan FIG Hot France. Parole là sorti hors ministre de l'Agriculture, Honorable Johnson Drago. C'est l'Honorable Drago, c'est plan ça là qui est distribué pour certaines catégories habitants tout en pays là.
C'est ça qui fait, là nous dit nous mener plan fouet, nous qui mener plan fouet à Dominique. En rôle de trois monde commence à rider nous. Ça a fait tout partout. Black Sikatoka disease, c'est un disease qui a mangé figue et puis banane. Il a mangé plusieurs pays avant de venir Dominique. Et à ce nous après ça, il était bon coup encore nous. Nous, j'ai recevé hors France 20 000 plans. Quand nous avons parlé, ces plans ça nous avons pointé à Gontens et nous avons préparé pour nous abattre ces plans ça pour ça accueillir selected farmers. Et pas tout apporter qui est tapé tout planté qui est tapé au premier 7 plans ça. Nous avons basé farmers là ces plans ça nous avons aidé au petit pays nous avons tapé tout support là besoin de ministère et ben laisser plans ça commencer à faire plan. C'est ça là. Nous avons servi ces plans fouet ça pour bas d'autres planter pour nous servir ouvert secteur fig là parce que nous les vivons sur la place à European market là.
Gouvernement Dominique a mis attention à ces agriculteurs pour pays là. En autre nouvelle, travail qui prend place assis en dalle en la pointe. Parole ça là sorti du Parlement, Honorable Ian Pinade. Sinon, Honorable Pinade, travail là c'est pour mitigation des désastres en location ça là.
À Wavin la pointe, Wavin Soubouli, les trophées là descendent en 2013, il a affecté un patrimoine. Et ça nous fait nous taper l'argent au Mexican government. Et puis nous prenons l'argent ça et puis nous mettons en Fortenay et puis la pointe. Et puis actuellement le projet là est bon. Il y a un local contractor qui a fait. Et puis le projet ça a fini. Et qui protect lives moon et puis property. So moun pas qu'il y ait plus problème à Soubouli ou à la pointe. So ce gouvernement a fait bien moun la pointe pourtant. Les barrières la gouvernement a fait.
En d'autres nouvelles, ça fait où la monde peut voyager sans pire problème entre pays OECS, c'est bagaille succès pour OECS. Parole ça la sorti hors Director-General OECS, Dr. Didikos Jules, pendant qu'il était assis en visite officielle ici semaine passée. Selon Dr. Jules, en parmi toutes ces bagailles là qui a gouverné le traité OECS, mouvement moun entre ces pays-là, c'est bagaille qui plie pour la population OECS. Dr. Jules aussi fait parole qui travaille pour concerner le mouvement commodité en OECS. Union économique qui a essayé de créer activité économique qui est bien soutenable pour le pays OECS. Et puis finalement, le département pompier recevait bagaille dans l'organisation d'Alca. Département là qui servait ces bagailles salam pour faire travail assisté en temps de désastre. Chef pompier Josiah Dupé recevait ces bagailles là à ce compte département là semaine passée.
Nous tapons un bel petit package d'Alca. D'Alca, en fait, je voulais remercier d'Alca pour ça aujourd'hui. Ça c'est un travail et puis une organisation d'Australie. Et aujourd'hui, je voulais dire merci à Dalka pour le travail qu'il a fait. C'est la deuxième fois que Dalka a fait nous taper un petit morceau d'équipement. Et aujourd'hui, nous tapons corde. Ça c'est corde nous a servi pour nous faire rescue. Nous tapons webbings, nous tapons flashlight, nous tapons had nous ka servi si nous ni pour entrer dans en place qui ni hazard nous ka créer ça en hazardous material suit et ni différentes qualités mais nous taper ça aujourd'hui comme ça nous quasi merci parce que on monde qui dit c'est pas grand mais pour nous ka compter ça qui petit nous ka compter ça grand parce que ça nous ni à présent c'est ça nous pas ni hier.
Messieurs, mesdames, ça c'est tout pour nouvelles en créole pour à présent. Non, moi, c'est McPherson Luce. Au revoir.
Coming up next, a cheap alternative to store-bought cleaning solutions.
Wash your hands. I am Adora Tuse, health educator from the Ministry of Health. Proper hand washing protects against the spread of many common illnesses and germs. Wash your hands often with soap and water, or you may use a hand sanitizer. Remember, clean hands save lives. Protect yourself.
A message from the Health Promotion of the Ministry of Health.
Bet you didn't know that baking soda and vinegar is an invincible cleaning duo that far supersedes any store-bought cleaner. Well, it's true. Use the combination to clean stainless steel kitchen sinks, to clean soap scum in the bathroom, to remove carpet stains, to boost your laundry detergent, and more. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website news.gov.dm. Like our Facebook page, facebook.com/GIS News Dominica, and follow our Twitter at GIS Dominica. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. From all of us here on the GIS News production team, I'm Jarna Hector. Thank you for watching and join us again next time on National Focus.